Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thanks so much for being here, and I always appreciate your understanding of these issues and frankness. At your confirmation hearing, we talked about the situation of inviting China into the peace process for Ukraine, and you expressed your agreement with me that this wasn't a good idea, which is an understatement. In the meantime, the State Department officials have told this committee that China must be at the table. I'm assuming, like a lot of things, there isn't complete agreement, but help me understand this. Where are we on this, and how hard are we going to have to push to get this done right? It seems that our European partners get this, and for whatever reason, the place where you work doesn't seem to get this. So help me out.
Thank you, Senator. To be honest, I'm not aware of those consultations that you have had. I will also tell you that I would generally say any kind of discussion like that is premature. The dominant arena of engagement is on the battlefield. I see no sign of Russians in any way easing up on their brutal offensives with Ukraine. If you signal too early your interest in getting to the negotiating table, I think it sends the wrong message, and it's a signal of weakness more generally. Ultimately, I had extensive discussions with your team about this. Senator, I must say I found those arguments quite persuasive, and I am personally troubled by China's actions, publicly stating that, we're in favor of peace, we're not taking sides, but then privately providing the support for their industrial base in ways that will change the balance of military power, not just in Ukraine, Senator, but in Europe for decades to come. So I find those quite troubling. I think they have to be accounted for more directly. I believe the United States, with its key partners in Europe, have to play the dominant role if we find ourselves in a situation which we hope for, that we can arrive at a just peace with Ukraine and Russia. We are nowhere near that right now, Senator. And so talk about what the nature of the table looks like and who's sitting around it, that's premature.
Great thoughts. It seems to me that the Europeans and the rest of the world made a huge mistake with Russia over recent decades, thinking they were something that they weren't. And now the price is being paid for that. And I think the problem is there's some people making the same mistake right now with China, thinking that there's something that they're not. And your observation that that mistake could carry consequences that goes into generations, I agree with 100%. I think the Europeans, because of their experience with Russia, are very, very reluctant to make the same mistake with China. So, and I think China hasn't helped either. Europe's experience with the Lithuanians with China has really, really woken up the Europeans as to what they're dealing with as far as China is concerned. Look, Congress recently passed legislation on a bipartisan basis to sanction China for the oil purchases. And I'm not seeing, there was a lot of enthusiasm up here on the Hill for that. I'm not seeing the same enthusiasm for the administration, which isn't surprising because whenever we talk about sanctions, Treasury always pushes back to a degree, state always pushes back. We up here seem to be a little more ready to draw that weapon and use it. Your thoughts?
Look, Senator, we've engaged on this quite a bit. I really understand and take your points to heart. I would point out, and I think you know it, you've heard it so many times, of the hundreds of other sanctions that we have undertaken more directly. I do think, and I will just state clearly, that Iran is an implacable foe of the United States. We have to contest them everywhere, not just in the Middle East, not just with respect to the Houthis, but increasingly the role that they are also playing on the battlefields of Europe in Ukraine. So I take that very seriously. I understand the points. Sanctions policy, as you underscore, Senator, and you understand, are complex. There are often concerns about certain steps that you might take in a financial arena could have secondary, tertiary effects. I don't mean that as an excuse, but these are complex matters. I do think we have taken consequential steps, but I need to take back to the building a specific set of recommendations that you carry. I do also want to just point to something that you raised at the outset. Europe has had two major challenges. One is the Russia energy and national security challenge. Many of these countries had hoped for a deeper economic and commercial relationship with China. I will tell you, after substantial discussions, both in my previous job, Senator, and this job, Europeans understand the risks. They are coming around. We're working much more consequentially with them, not just on Russia, but China as well.
My time's up. Thank you. Thank you.